Hi there, I'm Amal, and this is the first video I've made for my GenAI Capstone project. But it's the first one you'll see if you're watching my official submission. Big thanks to Kaggle for giving us that little push to show our work on video. Honestly, it was fun, super stimulating, and exactly the kind of challenge I needed to bring this idea to life. I built everything with an MVP mindset: start simple, go fast, focus on what matters. In the earlier videos, I walked through the foundations, classifications, embeddings, document retrieval, and reply generation. But in this final one, I'm showing everything: the new features, the smarter logic, the full pipeline, all tied together in a single notebook. So let's walk through it, from raw customer emails to smart, personalized, tool-powered replies. This is how I built a GenAI agent that thinks like support and works like a teammate. How it all started. I started with the basics: classification, retrieval docs, reply generation. No over-engineering, no fine-tuning, just a clean, focused MVP. Gemini handled the classification and reply logic. I used embeddings to ground the responses in real support documents. The result: a working autoresponder with actual context and no hallucinations. It wasn't flashy, but it worked. That gave me the confidence to push it further. Let's talk about what changed in version 2. Once the foundation was solid, I started building brick by brick, and this is where it really became a support agent, not just a chatbot. It can now call real Python tools like checking an invoice, order, or payment. That's tool use, and it makes the agent able of action, not just answers. Then I give it the power to evaluate its own replies. Gemini scores its own answers for helpfulness, so I can catch bad responses before they become bad experiences. I log every interaction with category tone, tool used, evaluation score. That's my MLOps layer, and it's red for a reason here. This is what takes it from the demo to dashboard ready. I also added the tone control, the memory, so the agent sees previous messages, not just one-shot questions. Fallback handling, so if it can't find the invoice, it knows how to respond gracefully. Priority detection, so it knows what to escalate. And speaking of escalation, I added the needs human review flag to every reply. If Gemini isn't sure, the system knows it's time to call in a real support rep. That's what makes this feel real world ready. All of this packed inside one notebook. Let me show you how it works. So here we go. So this is the introduction. So the first step, I started by creating a small data set of support messages, just enough to simulate real user requests and test the pipeline. Each message is in 5 categories: refunds, technical issues, general questions, account problems, and feedback. Here you can see an example of the first lines of our data frame. For example, for each of the 5 categories, I use these examples to guide Gemini during classification, test downstream steps like document retrieval and tone selection, and build a simple playground to iterate quickly. It's not a huge data set, but it's just enough to build, test, and improve fast. That's the logic of an MVP. Here, this is the part where I'm setting my API key for Gemini. I just passed this part. The step 2 is the classification. So now that I had a realistic data set, I wanted to go beyond keyword matching. So I let Gemini do the thinking. I used few shots here. Yes, I used few shot prompting to classify each support message into one of the 5 categories. And in this classification, I also used Gemini so here in the classification step, I added a detection of message priority because some emails aren't just support requests, they're urgent. So I built a hybrid priority detector. I call it hybrid because it combines 2 approaches. First, a simple rule-based check for urgency keywords. And then, if that's not enough, I fall back to Gemini to judge the tone and context. It's quick, accurate, and lets me route the most important messages first. Here's the function for that. And here's an example to do the classification. So, for example, the email text is, "Hi, I ordered a phone last week, but my order arrived broken." The classification, the predicted category is a refund request. And the priority for "I'm still waiting on my refund from 2 weeks ago" is a refund request, and the priority is high. So let's move on to step 3, the retrieve relevance docs using Gemini embeddings. So once the message is classified, the agent needs context, not just generic replies, but answers grounded in real policies and support documents. That's where RAG comes in, Retrieval-Augmented generation. I built a tiny knowledge base, a few support snippets, found rules, help center, articles. Then I embedded each one using Gemini's text embeddings 004 model. When a new message comes in, I embed it too and use cosine similarity to retrieve the top 3 closest documents. So this is what makes the agent feel smart. It doesn't hallucinate answers. It finds the right info first, then use it to generate the reply. In this part, I added a trial logic because when I was testing, I was limited with the quota rate of Google Gemini API. Here I embed the knowledge base. And we can test it here. For the query, how can I get a refund for an item? It can retrieve from my KB database of earlier the top 3 retrieved snippets. A refund usually takes 5 to 7 business days. You can request a refund within 30 days, and for payment issues, try using a different card. So that's it for the first steps, and we go to the heart of our system, the core functions, in step 4. So here in this step, I use Gemini to generate the support reply, but not in isolation. It gets 3 sources of truth: the classified messages, the retrieved documents, and, if needed, the result of function called to a live database. I created a mock invoice database with 3 tables: invoices, orders, and payments. Then I wrote 3 Python functions. So here I create the SQL database, created the 3 tables, and gave some samples of data for each table. And here we go to the brain of the agent. So I created the 3 Python function for each table. So the first one is for invoice, the second one for orders, and the third for payments. And here you can see that Gemini inspects the function docstrings and decides which one to call when and with what argument. So let's test it. For this example, can you check the status of invoice INV001? The reply is, okay, I have checked the status of invoice. Here is what I found. For invoice, the invoice for customer Alice on March 1st, 2024 is currently marked and as refunded. It gets the same query for the table order and the same one for the table payment. So here we can see that it fetches the details and uses that to write a grounded reply. But it doesn't stop there. The reply also adapts its tone based on the message type. Here I have all the new features for the reply function. You have it in details in this markdown cells. I just scroll to the next part, and I'll explain in time what it is about. So this is the evaluation. We will talk about it after this. And here is the main function for this notebook. It's the generate rag db reply. It starts by classifying the message, selecting the reply tone based on category. So for the refund, it's apologetic. For refund request, it's also apologetic, and payment issue, it's professional, order status friendly, account access reassuring, and general question neutral. After that, we're going to have the context from the KB database of earlier using the retrieval docs. Step 4 is using the previous message to have a context of the conversation, the previous message of the customer. Here we are implementing the few short examples. I also built fallback logic. If Gemini can't find invoice data, the prompt tells it to politely ask for clarifications instead of hallucinating a fake answer. And here I implemented the tone control. Just prompting to use each tone for each category as we decided earlier. And that's it. I used also the fallback, no tool used. If we have, no, sorry. One more thing, every reply includes a needs human parameter or flag. So if Gemini is not confident, the system knows when to escalate. In the future, I could combine this with the priority score to decide what gets escalated and how fast. That's where things start feeling truly intelligent. So all this happens in one prompt inside one function, the brain of the agent. So after defining this function, I tested each feature in a different example. Here, the memory in action, previous message and current message. I tested the invoice tracking example right here. I didn't run all the example cells because it brings me to the limit of the quota of calling the Gemini API. So here, this example will show you all the features. So here you can see that the tone is apologetic. The reply, you have the needs human review flagged to true. The docs used for the dog retrieval, the previous and the current message for the memory, the category, the reply, no function called this time. and the evaluation score. So Gemini is evaluating its own replies. This is what it thinks about his reply. The reply is good. The knowledge, it acknowledges the customer's question. And here is the tone control example, but we already see this in the previous one. The example for the fallback handling test, invalid invoice. I tested it with an invoice that doesn't exist. So you can see that Gemini reply with a question about the invoice number because it can't find it in our database. The escalation test for, so here we have the current message, you people are no help at all, someone better get back to me ASAP. And here we can see that the argument, the parameter needs human review is flagged to true. So for now, all it's working. Let's go and implement the MLOps-style output. So this step is simple. Every reply is saved to a CSV file with the original user message, the timestamp, the predicted category, the generated reply, every parameter of the answer. So this is the function to do that. And we can test it right here. So here is my CSV. I show you the last line in the CSV with the timestamp, the user message, the category, the tone, and all that stuff. And we're done. That's it. But I also make a final unified pipeline that bring all together all the steps we saw earlier. So the step 1 is classification, priority detection, retrieval relevant document, generate the reply, and display final reply, and log all of this into the CSV. We can test it right here, and that's it. So this is a lightweight MVP. I designed it like a real product, modular, explainable, and ready to evolve. Of course, it's not fully production ready yet. There are quota limits, token costs, and memory is still short term, but it's already powerful and honestly fun to build. I've got tons of ideas to take it further. Maybe it won't stay in a notebook forever. Maybe I'll package it into something compact and production ready. And that's it. Thanks again to Kaggle. This challenge really pushed me to go further and actually show my work, not just to write it. You'll find the full code notebook and both articles in the description. Thank you for watching and see you in the next build.